Kids aren't little adults. They're not even little teenagers. You can't take programs, processes, and methods that are designed for professional athletes or college athletes or even high school athletes and just apply them to younger athletes. 9 to 12-year-olds need different stimuli in order to get the adaptations that we're seeking to get. If you want to help your 9 to 12-year-old get faster, stronger, more explosive, and healthier, you have to do it in a way that's developmentally appropriate for them.
Yeah, straight A student, but I'm friends with the cool kids. Following the rules and the rubric. Freestyle on the bus.
What's up, everybody? My name is Dr. Zach Guiser, and this is another entry into the Athlete Development Journal where we take complex athletic problems and provide simple solutions. It's early afternoon, so we got our dark roast iced coffee in hand. Let's get it. For our mental deep dive today, I want to talk about whether or not you're even playing the right game. And this goes for both our parents and our athletes, but maybe even more so for the parents. When you think about playing a game, the first thing that normally comes to mind is the end goal. What are you shooting for? So if you're playing the game of football, you're thinking about winning the Lombardi Trophy. If you're playing on the PGA Tour, you're thinking about putting on some green jackets. If you're playing Monopoly, you're thinking about stacking up as much cash as you possibly can. But I think that's the wrong way to think about choosing the game that you should play. I should preface this by saying that when I say game, I don't actually just mean regular games. I think everything you do in life could actually be called a game. Life itself could be considered an infinite game. Starting a business is an infinite game. Choosing a career is a game. Each career that you choose is a different game. Each hobby that you pursue is a different game. Each life decision that you make, whether that's buying a house, having kids, that is a different game. Now, when we view it through that lens, we typically still envision the end result. When you think about having kids, you think about the snuggles, the amazing, glorious times that you have together, the picture-perfect family. You don't necessarily think about the process of waking up 3 times in the middle of the night because your girls are having a hard time sleeping, even though there's absolutely nothing wrong, like happened to me last night. Or when you think about the game of starting a business, you think about all the money that's coming into your bank account, but you don't think about having to lay down all the different mats. You don't think about the lights going out. You don't think about having to pay somebody $100 every single time that it snows so that way your lot's cleared and you're not going to get sued because somebody tripped on ice. Like, there's a lot that goes into it that's a part of the game. Those are the rules of the game. But they're not the end result of the game, so we don't necessarily think about that. Now, I think in life, you should choose games that consider both the end result, because I don't think that's not important, but I think you also need to choose something in which the rules are something that you can learn to love and appreciate. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're going to do the most of. Most of your time is going to be spent in the process, okay? So we are obsessed with the process here at GT Performance. We put it on all our bracelets when they first start up here. It's written on all their goal sheets. The process is the thing that actually matters. It's what you wake up and you focus on and can control each and every day. The process are the rules of the game, the things that you actually have to do day in and day out to move forward in that game. So when you choose the games you want to play in life, you want to choose the games that have rules that are in line with your values and, if possible, your preferences. Because the more in line the process and the rules are with your values, with your preferences, and with your strengths, the more consistent you'll be with it, the more intense you'll be with it, and the more intelligent you'll be with it. And if you combine those 3 factors, you can be great at anything. Now, let me give you an example here. This is what I'm working through personally right now. So we've got our business. It's going well right now. We've got an awesome training center. I love the craft. I'm a craftsman to the T. I'm not looking necessarily to scale and have this massive business entity. That's not really my thing. On my whiteboard at home, I have the words from George Lucas when he's building Lucasfilm written up on my whiteboard. It says, stay small, be the best, don't lose any money. So that's kind of our mantra here at GT Performance. Stay small, be the best, don't lose any money. But I am obsessed with the idea of excellence and prestige. The need for prestige is one of my vices. Okay, I'm open about it. So excellence is just straight up being excellent at something, being really good at the craft, making sure that you are world class at that. Prestige to me is being excellent and being known for being excellent. So a little bit of my vice is I want to be known as being excellent as well. So I'm chasing after some prestige right now. It's something I don't necessarily need to move forward, but it's something that I would enjoy having. So I'm chasing a little bit of prestige. In my field, I think there's really only a handful of ways that you can obtain prestige. The first way that I think you can obtain prestige is by getting a logo. So what I mean by that is if you work for a big university or you work for a professional organization that has a lot of notoriety, you gain prestige automatically. You didn't necessarily yourself do anything to earn that other than get that role, but having that logo automatically gives you clout. If you say you were the head performance coach for the Los Angeles Lakers, that automatically comes with a high degree of prestige. That's not me. I'm not interested in working for anybody else. I'm not interested in working the professional ranks. I'm not interested in working for the college ranks. I love my long-term athletic development facility. I love the private sector. I love our business. I'm never leaving here. You're going to have to pull my dead body off the training floor here. So that one's out. The second way people get prestige within our field is social media. So they become excellent at navigating social media. They garner a lot of followers. They garner a lot of attention. And with those followers and that attention comes a lot of prestige. So you can get prestige through fame almost. I personally think that social media is evil. I think that we shouldn't allow kids who are under 16 years old to go on social media. I have it blocked on my computer. I have it blocked on my iPad. I have it blocked on my phone. My wife has my screen time passcode so that way I can barely go on. I think social media is one of the biggest travesties of our generation. I think the amount of harm that social media is doing is becoming more well-known, but it's still not well-known enough. I think we're going to look back on this time about 10 years from now and liken it to smoking and think, wow, I cannot believe that we were just letting kids scroll aimlessly through social media, getting all these algorithmic, addictive dopamine hits 24/7. I think it's just bad. And so I am not going to contribute to the social media game. If you look at my social media strategy recently, we exist on social media, but I'm taking this podcast and I'm clipping it up into different segments and just posting those up on social media. You don't miss a darn thing from GT Performance if you just delete your Instagram account, delete your TikTok account, delete your Twitter account, and just follow us on Apple Podcast or Spotify and listen to the podcast. You're getting all the same information. Actually, you're getting more information. So I would encourage all of our athletes to just delete it, get off in social media entirely. And so I cannot, in good conscience, put the time, effort, and energy into becoming great at social media so I can develop prestige in the craft of athlete development. And plus, I don't love the process of creating these short little clips for social media that just evaporate into the nothingness that is the internet and become obsolete almost the same time that you post them. I like creating long form educational material like this podcast and the newsletter. So that one's out. I'm not going to be chasing after any logos, and I'm not going to be chasing after social media followers. So I do think there's a third way that you can develop prestige in this field of athlete development that is more in line with the rules that I like playing. And that's through the world of intellect, innovation, and academia. So I think that creating novel new solutions can garner attention and prestige. Furthermore, I think that if you're doing firsthand research, you get published in academic journals, you are solving difficult problems that are useful for other coaches out in the world, I think that can create a level of prestige. So that game is more aligned with my values, it's more in line with my strengths, and it's more in line with my preferences. So they all result in kind of the end goal that I'm looking for. Like I said, this isn't something that I'm proud of. I'm not necessarily proud I'm looking for prestige. It's more of a vice than a virtue. But nonetheless, they all result in garnering prestige, whereas the first two routes take pathways, processes, and rules that I am just completely uninterested in and would make my life miserable. And the third one takes processes, pathways, and rules that are more in line with what I'm actually interested in, what I'm actually well suited for, and what I actually believe in. So that's the route that I plan on pursuing in the future. But you can apply this to anything you do in life. You don't necessarily think about when you choose a career, don't choose a career that's just because you make X amount of dollars more than the other career. You're going to have to wake up every single day and do that job. And so making sure you enjoy the process of doing that job is just as, if not more important, than the amount of dollars that are going into your bank account at the end of each month. The same thing goes with choosing whether to play a college sport or deciding to buy a house. Whatever it may be, everything has processes, rules, and pathways that are involved with it. And you want to make sure those are considered, not just the end game goal that you're envisioning. For our physical deep dive today, I want to focus on the 9 to 12-year-olds. And I want to tell you this story about little Sally. You see, Sally loves soccer. She started playing when she was 3 years old, and she got addicted. She fell in love with it. She played a bunch of different other sports. She continued playing them as she grew up, but soccer was really her thing, and she really, really loved it. She was good. She was technically skilled, too. She could really juggle the ball well. She was on the ball a lot. She was good at juggling. She was good at dribbling. She watched soccer a lot, and she just loved playing soccer. When Sally turned 11 and her parents watched her first practice, they were a little bit surprised. Sally was still pretty good at soccer, but physically, she was just behind the rest of the girls. Most importantly, she was a step too slow. She just couldn't keep up with the pace of the game. Everybody else grew a little bit. Everybody else got a little bit faster, and she stayed behind. So Sally's parents went on Instagram. They saw a bunch of soccer speed training videos. They hooked her up to some parachutes. They had her doing ladder drills nonstop, and she was all for it. She was so excited to do it all, but it didn't make a difference. Sally stayed a step behind everybody else. She actually became a couple more steps behind everybody else. And once she got to high school, she went to a big school, and it turns out Sally wasn't good enough to play for that high school team her freshman year. Sally became very disenchanted. She fell out of love with the sport and decided she no longer was going to play soccer. So soccer went from something that was the most important thing in Sally's life, and she loved it. She was obsessed with it. She was so excited for it to where she didn't even want to play by the time she got in 10th grade. And the main reason is because she wasn't fast enough. She wasn't physically able to keep up. Sally didn't stop playing the game because she wanted to stop playing the game. Sally stopped playing the game because it was taken from her. So now you probably caught on, Sally isn't this person's name. It's a real story. The concept's played out. In fact, I've seen this concept play out several times over. And the important factor in the story that I want to highlight today is that whenever Sally's parents went online and found some videos for her to follow, they found videos from these high-level college athletes, or they found videos from some random trainer who's got a lot of views, or they found some videos from some professional athletes. And if the professional athletes are doing it, then it should be good for Sally too, right? Well, not quite. Kids aren't little adults. They're not even little teenagers. You can't take programs, processes, and methods that are designed for professional athletes or college athletes or even high school athletes and just apply them to younger athletes. 9 to 12-year-olds need different stimuli in order to get the adaptations that we're seeking to get. If you want to help your 9 to 12-year-old get faster, stronger, more explosive, and healthier, you have to do it in a way that's developmentally appropriate for them. So I want to quickly go over the 8 different components that should be in a training program for an athlete between 9 to 12 years old who's trying to get faster, stronger, more explosive, and healthier to maximize their long-term athletic potential. Number 1, you want to challenge the vestibular and proprioceptive systems. And I recently talked a little bit about this in a recent podcast episode, but you need to spin, you need to do gymnastic movements, you need to get your body in all kind of weird positions so that way you can learn how to orient yourself in all those strange positions. And it becomes much easier to get in and out of positions you're asked to get into on game day. Number 2, you have to crawl and climb. We have to develop a lot of upper body strength. You have to own that body weight, which means you have to crawl a lot. You have to be able to pull yourself up on a bunch of different apparatus. So number 2, crawl and climb. Number 3, I need you to skip. I need you to bound. I need you to gallop. I need you to move your body in all different coordinative challenges. I need you to expose yourself to all different types of movement variety options, which often includes playing a bunch of different sports. And so I need you to challenge yourself in different ways. And so learn how to skip, learn how to do a million different types of skips, learn how to bound, learn how to do different footwork drills like the hex drills, like the ladder drills. Those just shouldn't be the entirety of your training. So make sure that you are challenging your coordination systems to be able to quickly learn and apply new movement options. Number 4, I need you to jump on and over things. Anything you can jump up and touch, jump up and grab, jump onto. The more jumping, the better. 1 foot, 2 foot, left foot, right foot, red fish, blue fish, doesn't matter. Whatever, I need you to jump on things, over things in all different types of ways. Number 5, I need you to race people, I need you to chase people, and I need you to evade people. At the end of the day, that's what a lot of sports are. If you want to get faster, you need to make sure that you're running with full intensity. And after all these years of doing it, I've really only found 2 ways to get people to run with full intensity. That's to run against somebody else, and that's to run against yourself on the laser. And so making sure that you are running away from people, make sure that you're chasing people down, make sure you're straight up racing them. You're going to be operating at a neural level that you wouldn't be able to tap into otherwise if you're just running by yourself. Number 6, I need you to hit the major strength patterns. Just get used to them. We're not going to get massive muscle adaptations in this time window. Some of you are going to be starting to go through puberty in this time window. Some of you are not. But we need to hit those major movement patterns, a squat, a press, a hinge, and a row. So that way, whenever it does come time for all those hormones to get dumped in your system and you start getting all those muscle adaptations, we've already trained the nervous system to coordinate and groove those patterns so we can really skyrocket that process. When you first start strength training, you're going to have neural adaptations first. And so that's why you'll see these young athletes who can do 10 reps in a row with 10-pound dumbbells like it's nothing. And then you put the 15-pound dumbbells in their hands and they can't do a single rep. It's not because those muscles themselves are not strong enough to do it. It's that you can't coordinate those patterns so that you can recruit all of those motor units at the same time and you can synchronize them in the right order. And so we have to go through the process of getting your nervous system more coordinative and being able to load those patterns in the correct way. So that way, whenever it does come time to be able to actually get further muscle and tissue adaptations later on, you're already ready for it. Number 7, train the core like an athlete. And this is really important, especially for those rotational sport athletes. When you're going through those growth spurts that you inevitably go in that 9 to 12 age range, you're going to have more susceptibility to things like spondies and growth plate injuries. And so you need to make sure you have some strength to be able to buffer those forces and you're not just bone on bone jamming into each other over and over and over again. So do anti-extension work, do anti-rotation work, and do anti-lateral flexion work. I've definitely got resources out there on those. But if you have any questions, just shoot me a message. Number 8, isolate vulnerable or weak structures. And so if you got a history of ostrich slaughters, make sure you're hitting some leg extension ISO stuff. Make sure you're getting that quad a little bit stronger. If you've got a history of Sever's disease, make sure you're getting that Achilles and that calf stronger. If you've got history of ankle sprains. Make sure that you're doing some three-way ankle walks or you're training through end ranges for that ankle. If you're a throwing athlete, make sure you start doing some arm care, some rotator cuff work, some low trap work, some serratus anterior work, some rhythmic stabilization work. Make sure you find the structures that you're vulnerable or weak on you and isolate those. Okay. So you can integrate all that stuff in. It should take about 1 hour, 2 to 3 times a week, and you should be in great hands. Your athletic development will skyrocket. You'll be faster, you'll be stronger, you'll be more explosive, and you'll stay healthier. So those are the 8 things. Let me run through them real quick. Number 1, challenge the vestibular and proprioceptive systems. Number 2, crawl and climb. Number 3, skip, bound, and move in all types of new ways. Number 4, jump on and over things. Number 5, race people, chase people, and evade people. Number 6, hit the major strength movements. Number 7, train the core like an athlete. Number 8, isolate vulnerable and weak structures. Boom. All right, so what's going on at GT? We're in the middle of our fall schedule. We're not as busy as we were in the summer. We're enjoying a little bit more of a slow pace. Everything's going really well right now. We've got some athletes who are absolutely crushing it. Paige Sansonetti hit a 75-inch broad jump the other day. She started out here. She wasn't able to do any chin-ups. Now she can knock out 2 in a row. She ran a 1.49 second X10 fly in here the other day. Her 2-foot approach jump. So she's going to be a really good volleyball player. She's tall. She's a very hard worker. She started off, she hit 8 feet, 6.5 inches the first time she jumped in May of this year on a 2-foot approach. And now she's up to 8, 9.5 already on her 2-foot approach vert. So very bright future for Miss Paige Sansonetti. Very sweet girl, works very hard, very polite. Absolute blessing to train her. And I gave him a shout out last week on the podcast, but I didn't post him up on social media for a particular reason. And that's Rocco Bompiani, because he hit a 34.7 inch vertical jump in between when I recorded that podcast and when I was clipping them up for social media. So Rocco Bompiani, 34.7 inch vertical jump. That's unbelievable. I mean, if you look at these numbers that he's worked through on his vert throughout his tenure here, it's absolutely insane. Started off at a 17.5 inch vertical jump in March of 2023. Obviously, we've got puberty. He's been doing us a handful of favors as well, adding a bunch of muscle mass. He's all the way up to a 34.7 inch vertical jump. I want to give a big shout out to my dad, Eric Guiser, for absolutely crushing the combine last week. 59 years old, out there running a 40-yard dash, doing his approach vertical jump, doing the broad jumps, doing the med ball overhead throws. The biggest one, the one that's absolutely the most insane, he hit 405-pound trap bar deadlift for 21 reps in 60 seconds. That was the second most of anybody there. His goal going into it was to run anything under a 6 on the 40-yard dash, and he went 5.5 something. Did really well on the approach vert. I don't remember his number off the top of my head right now, but most importantly for him, he actually finished an entire mile. Long distance has never been his thing. I've been trying to get him to do some cardio work for a long time, and he finally bit the bullet, worked his tail off for a number of weeks beforehand to get ready and finish the entire mile. Again, he set himself a goal of getting it done in under 15 minutes, got it done in 12 minutes. It was awesome to see. 59 years old. I think the coolest part of that whole thing is what he told me afterwards. He said that because he didn't play organized sports growing up, this was probably the first time in his life he's ever had a competition on the calendar that he's trained for and had a game day like that, where he trained for something in advance and had a game day. 59 years old, absolutely never too late to start doing stuff like that. Unbelievable. And I think he's going to blow those numbers out of the water next time. Some other people from the combine I want to give a shout out to. I want to give a shout out to Phil Pizzoni. He ran a 5 flat 40-yard dash. He didn't know about this combine until about 3 weeks in advance, and he didn't have spikes. And so he ran that on a wet turf field, went 5.00 with only 3 weeks of training. Super impressive. I mean, that max velo, his ability to get up and over whenever he gets about 20 yards out was really, really, really impressive. Really cool to see. I also want to give a big shout out to Mr. Ryan Group, who came back from a pulled hamstring to compete in every event. So building up to it, he pulled his hamstring. We rehabbed through it. He ran the 40, ran really well. Broad jumped, threw the med ball really well. Trap bar deadlift really well. Barbell bench pressed really well. He had the second most barbell bench press reps of anybody there. And then he finished the mile. He had his sidekick, Mr. Knox Group, his son, cheering there the entire time. He was our lead videographer. This is where we're getting most of these clips from for all of these videos. So really excited. Awesome to have you there, Ryan. You absolutely balled out. And last we had Mr. Michael Kish, one of my buddies who played with me at Akron. One of the best human beings you'll ever meet in your entire life. Pretty much down for anything at any time. came out, crushed it, blew us all out of the water on the med ball overhead throw, ran well, jumped well. It's a big guy who can move really well. So appreciate you coming out, Mr. Kish. And then what's going on in my personal life? What's going on with the girls? What's going on with my training? Grace had her first big girl gymnastics. She did really well. She was much more focused. The coaches were much more hands-on, and she really rose to the challenge, which was cool to see. She was ready to be coached. She was ready to accept that coaching and be a lot more focused than she was in the little girl group. And so it was really cool to see her do that. She's got T-ball starting up here next week, so I'm excited for that. And we've got Evie. Evie went through her gymnastics. She got to have Grace as her cheerleader. Normally, Grace was off doing her gymnastics at the same time, but she got to have big sis watching her and cheering her on, and she was really excited about that. She loved that. She did really good. And she's got soccer. She just got signed up for soccer. That's going to start here in a number of weeks. She's actually going to do it with her cousin who's the same age. So it'll be really cute. It'll probably be an absolute disaster. There was no way they're going to focus on anything, but it'll be awesome. And then for my personal training, I've got a new objective. So every year I run a 5K. Okay. So it's the Brian Martini 5K. Brian was a kid who was 2 years younger than me, who passed away whenever he was in first grade, went to school with him. And so we have walked that 5K every year since they've put it on. And now recently I've started to run it. And this year I want to make it even more interesting. And so I am all the way bought into staying athletic and having athletic related goals. And so I'm going to make it really interesting. My goal at the beginning of October for the Brian Martini 5K is to trap bar deadlift 500 pounds, dunk a basketball, run a 3/4 court sprint. So that's the NBA combine sprint, faster than the average NBA combine athlete does. And then run a sub 24-minute 5K. Okay. I don't like training for the 5K. So this is something that's going to get me a little bit more motivated. I'm not a distance guy. If anybody wants to do this with me, I'd be absolutely thrilled to have somebody to train with and compete with. So please let me know if any of you are interested. But yeah, so I have my first week of like recovery from the Apex / getting ready for that this week. On Sunday was the actual Apex Combine day. So obviously that was a lot of strenuous work. On Monday, I took the day off after that just to recover. On Tuesday, I took Champ and we did a 1.5 mile run at a nice, easy pace. Wednesday, I got some strength work in, did some prone cable hip ERs at the beginning with some reverse crunches and some seesaw somersaults. Then I did some seated vertical jumps with some cable Palloff pulses. I added on some reverse lunges. I just wanted to move the bar with speed. I'm starting to shift more into unilateral based stuff because I want to make sure that I'm ready for turkey bowl time, that my hips are ready for the change direction, the unilateral stuff that's come with that. And so I kept the bar light, tried to move the bar over 0.7 meters per second on every rep of the reverse lunges. Supersetted those with some split stance cable rows with reach. And then I did some split stance landmine press with reach. Supersetted those with some 2 dumbbell single leg RDLs and some single leg calf raise isos. That was Wednesday. Thursday, I didn't do any training. On Friday, I took Champ to the field, got a little sprint and jump workout in. So started off with some low-level dynamic warm-up series stuff, then moved on to some sprint mechanics RMR type stuff, did some quick switch A skips, did some B skips, did some same side claws, did some double leg pogos. Then I moved on and did a little bit of horizontal power skipping for distance. And then I did a little bit of side stance accelerations to both sides. It felt like my legs were lead pipes today. Still pretty fried from the Apex and the training session on Wednesday. So was not my best performance there. But I do want to start getting oriented back to a basketball court. I haven't been on a basketball court in a very long time. And if I'm going to dunk a basketball, I jumped 10.8 the other day in the combine. So I've got enough physical capacity to be able to do it, but I just got to get the rhythm of actually picking the ball up and putting it down over top the rim to be able to get comfortable dunking again. So did some standing vertical jumps, trying to get my head to the net. Then just did some standing 2-hand vertical jumps, touching the rim. Took a short approach to hang on to the rim. I am going to try to dunk two-handed because it's always a lot easier. So I want to make sure I have a lot of margin for error if I'm not feeling the best that day. I want to make sure I've just got a really smooth two-handed dunk on game day there. I didn't have any ball today, and so I just took my shoe, did some one-handed 2-foot approach dunks with the shoe. Those went down pretty easy. Don't quite have the two-hander there yet, but again, legs were feeling like lead pipes. So yeah, that's where we're at so far. That's all I got for you today. As always, I have to remind you that everything in these newsletters, podcasts, social media, and on our website is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice for you or your athlete. Until next time, go be great out there.
Yeah, straight A student, but I'm friends with the cool kids. Following the rules and the rubric. Freestyle on the bus and it's too lit. Everybody like